oh my God. How did I let myself go that far? I mean, sex only works from a couple angles when you're very overweight. Walk 10,000 steps. So working out doesn't make you lose weight.
Can be very masculine or can be fine for men personally.
Bottom line is, when you're skinny, everything is easier for you, man.
Yeah.
Too hard on myself. I don't know if I'm hard on myself. I don't think I'm that hard on myself. And then goes home and plays video games and then goes to sleep. He's a single man. Next,
Not
I'm getting
red.
red pants next. bright red pants. You don't have GPS or a map and you don't know where to go. You're going to wander around this world aimlessly.
About, I don't know if he had, I don't know really. What do you think the dad knows about Mexico? Like, I think he knows that we're... Did he know from previous thoughts that we were... I think it's okay for men to smoke cigars with flavors.
I mean, it is, unless you're in a man's circle. Once you get in the man's circle, they're like, hey, what, are you gay? I mean, my sister smokes the same thing, it's, you hear things like that, we need to have the big, fat, thick, black one that's like, tastes like shit. And, it's the most horrible thing. Smell my breath later on. Nobody wants it. My wife don't want to kiss me. That's what you got to have. That's what manly men have to have, right? Because we got to keep our man card, right? We got to keep our man card. Smoke something that has a little bit of flavor. No, you're batting from left field, man. You're not a real man.
Yeah.
You're not a real man. And so I don't know.
But if a girl is present, then it's okay. Then it changes.
No, it's still not okay because we're putting it on camera. Because it's on camera now, people are going to mess with me because I got a flavored cigar. But you know what? They taste great. They freaking taste great.
They're gonna ask if you're gay.
Well, I got my maroon pants on, so my wife came up, she's like, "Hey, you got the maroon pants on?" I'm like, "Yeah. Oh, what's up? We got a problem with that?" No, I'm just pointing it out. I'm like, "Oh, okay." I know what she meant, though.
Do you guys think that maroon pants are only for gay men? We kind of need to know. I mean, I don't think so. I think that maroon and wine red and all of the in-between kind of colors like that can be very masculine or can be fine for men personally. But what do you guys think? That's what we need to know.
Yeah.
We need more engagement from you guys. We're having a channel for men.
Yeah, I think before I started on my fashion journey, I'm wearing a hoodie tonight, so it's not really fashion. I would never be caught with them and, slim fit pants and stuff like that. But, when you start looking around at who's in and who's, the popular people and the famous people that, they're all wearing that stuff. They're all wearing that stuff. They're not wearing fucking carpenter jeans, right?
Yes. I think they look good. They also look good with brown, It's a good tie-in because red is really not that far from brown. So I feel like if you're not wearing them, you should try them out.
What about white?
White is tricky. White is really, really hard. I have a hard time with white in general.
White's my favorite color on a woman.
Yes.
Because I think it means pureness, right? It means pureness. So I love seeing women in white jeans, white pants, white, all white, everything white except a wedding dress. I don't like seeing women in a wedding dress, but I'm joking. I'm joking about that. But, I love white on women. Is there a color that you think men look best in, or?
I mean, I guess I normally lean towards like blue. Blue is that's always a good color. But I think that men are typically good in blue. Typically red is good and black. I like gray and brown here and there, but I think that those are nice accents. Like shoes are nice and, maybe the jacket color. But I think for pants, blue and red is nice.
Red pants.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that before,
I don't think I have any red pants, but maroon.
Yeah. Red, like dark red.
Next,
Not
I'm getting
red.
red pants next. bright red pants.
Maybe greens. I think green would be good too. Green is good as far as like a dark green. Maybe not all greens. Not army green always, but a dark green and a dark blue. Those are good colors. You're going for pants. I think men can look good in all colors. I think it just depends on how you're wearing all of the colors.
Well, especially if you're skinny. If you're a skinny man, you can wear anything you want. It always looks good on you. If you're a fit man, it always looks good on you. You're a fat man, it never looks good on you. It doesn't matter what the hell you wear. I can wear the same thing as frickin' Steven over here. It's going to look good on little Steven, but it ain't going to look good on me. That's just the way it goes. It's just the way it is.
But we're always so hard on ourselves. Like, I wouldn't even put you into that category at all. I think that Tom could wear anything, and still be good, just like Steven. But I think that, when you're talking about like actually obese people, like that's a different category that is a little bit more tricky to line up colors with sometimes. But I feel like you're too hard on yourself.
Too hard on myself? I don't know if I'm hard on myself. I don't think I'm that hard on myself. But, I might be harder on Steven. I always pick on him for being the skinny guy. Steven, you never had an ounce in your fat in your body in your whole life, have you? Never.
Unfortunately.
Asshole. You gotta hold that down. There you go. And some people are like that. Some people are born like that. It's something like, 40% of the population are fit and thin. 60% are obese and 40% of those are morbidly obese, right? It's something to that effect. And, whenever you are skinny your whole life, you don't have those kind of problems. You don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. You're never having to worry about, whether your clothes fit, if you bend over in a shirt, it opens up because your fat rolls are coming out, or having to buy more, bigger size clothes. You're going from XL. I had to go from XL to 2XL, contemplate 3XL in my life, and then work your way back down to XL. You don't have to worry about that. It's just, and they say it's genetics. I don't know if it really is genetic. There's arguments both ways saying it is genetics, it's not genetics. I don't frickin' know. I don't care what point you take on this. There's somebody that argues one way and somebody that argues the other way. The bottom line is, when you're skinny, everything is easier for you, man.
Yeah, and vibrant colors, when they spread out more, I think, and patterns, certain patterns spread out, it can be a lot less attractive than when it's in a confined space,
right.
Which is quite literally what you're looking at, How much space is it taking up? I think that's something to contemplate. I think darker colors are slimming. If, overweight is something that you're struggling with, you might be able to mask it more with like darker colors or muted colors. But yeah, when you're wearing more vibrant colors and you have it more spread out, it's like cigar on my face. That's when it becomes tricky.
Have you ever wore a fat shirt?
A fat shirt?
A shirt that a slimming shirt, a shirt that makes you look slimmer, or something. Don't women wear something across their belly to make it look flatter?
There's a lot of tricks for women. Ruching, the belly trainers, waist trainers.
Yeah. Now, women have, even men have that thing. You wrap around your belly. They got the Velcro on it, and you tighten it up. So you're good. I one time on TV I saw this shirt. Right, there was like a shirt that was a slimming shirt. Right, so you would wear it, and your gut would go away. But it was so I bought it. I paid $49 for this thing. Had it shipped to my house. Comes in the mail. I don't tell anybody about it. I finally get it in the mail, and this thing is so freaking tight. It was.
This is a waist trainer.
It was a whole shirt. It was a whole shirt. But I was going home, and I didn't want everybody to know how much weight I gained.
That's a compression style.
Oh, yes. And it just sucked everything in. I couldn't breathe. But man, did I look good, man. I looked great. But I was just faking it, right?
Was that an undershirt?
Yeah, it was an undershirt. It was an undershirt.
Women have a lot of compression style garments that can be very helpful with the illusion of being a lot slimmer than you are, but I feel like there's not as much for men. But that's interesting that you tried a shirt. That's probably a good technique, like a compression undershirt. Was it like dry wick material?
No, it was kind of like dry wick, but it was like 10 layers thick.
Yeah,
right. It was very thick because it was stiff, and it you know, and it was small, and you had to force
Yeah.
yourself. I had to cut it off to get it out of it. I had to cut it off.
Oh no.
But
So you only
hey, I
wore
looked
it
good for
once?
about 4 hours. I couldn't freaking breathe, but I looked good for about 4 hours.
That's how they make them. And there's like corsets and waist trainers and all these things. I mean, women have like the pantyhose and the nylon tights that have the control tops. And yeah, you can't really breathe in that stuff, but it works for the pictures. It works for the event.
Right?
It works for the event. I think it's a pretty good tactic if you need to utilize it.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've been there.
I've been there. Well, between the two of us, we've lost about 100 pounds between the two of us. So we both know the stories about gaining weight and losing weight. I think my heaviest I was during the virus was about 270 pounds. You know, you're
And I was almost 170.
almost 170.
I don't remember seeing 170 on the scale, but when I saw 169, I was like, I gotta do something. I had to do something not to see this, including not weighing myself.
You know,
But
so
we've been there.
so when you're fat, you know, everything just changes. You know, what I did is I did a video of myself. I did a video on a business that I was in, and then I watched the video and I'm like, oh my God, how did I let myself go that far? I didn't even realize it. I think when you look at yourself in the mirror every day, you don't realize, you know, the subtle gaining of the weight, you know.
You don't. I didn't either when I don't remember seeing it until I saw, you know, probably in pictures from my old salon and just pictures from family time. I remember especially like probably that particular winter that I was my heaviest. You don't even want to look at pictures. It's like, I hope that's not me. Do I look like this in real life? Because pictures can sometimes skew things too, and that's a real telltale of how you can see.
How do pictures skew things?
Well, sometimes depending on angles, it's like, you know, it's like sometimes it can make it worse than it even was.
Oh.
Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's accurate.
Maybe it's accurate. I think
Maybe.
it's accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got up to 270. I saw the video of myself and I'm like, I need to do something different. But you know, throughout my life, my whole life, I've been battling weight. You know, I've never been super overweight, but according to the charts, I'm morbidly obese. I'm always on the borderline of morbidly obese, right? Not just obese, but morbidly.
Man.
You know, it's frustrating to read those charts and say, oh my God, that's me. That's my problem. That's my life, right? And you know, so I've done every freaking diet in the world. I've done keto, carnivore,
Vegan.
vegan, Mediterranean. I mean, I've done everything, and it's like you can, you know, I went vegan for over a year. I lost a lot of weight. I actually got to the lowest in my adult life. I was down to like 212 pounds. That's the lowest I've ever been in my adult life. But once I got off it, I gained all the way back.
Yeah.
Gained all the way back. And so, you know, it's such a lifestyle change. It's such a lifestyle choice. And it's a full-time job, man. You know, getting on these diets and working these diets, they suck. They're horrible. They're horrible. And, you know, it wasn't until I found semaglutide that I found an easy way to take off the weight, an easy way to keep it off, and an easy way, you know, there's no work. You just stop eating. You take this shot once a week and you just stop eating. How did you lose your weight?
You know, I went walking around for miles and miles and miles every single day in the sun, like as much sweating as I feel like I could do, while still, at the time I was really doing a lot of research about like weight loss for walking versus jogging, because I don't particularly care to run, like unless I needed to. But I was hearing that like a more sustainable route might be walking as far as weight loss goes.
Well, I think that's what Mr. Beast did. Did you see that? You've seen his transformation?
Really? And he was walking?
Oh yeah. So Mr. Beast made a bet with another YouTuber that he would work out every day and he walked 10,000 steps. So working out doesn't make you lose weight. You know, but the 10,000 steps made him lose weight, and now he's jacked. Now he's actually jacked. He looks good.
I didn't notice like a ton of transformation until I actually went to the gym and started doing weights and like a little bit less cardio. That's when I feel like I actually lost the weight, was going to the gym and learning weights. And I do think that that's that's like your best bet if you're gonna go to the gym and lose weight versus like only cardio. Usually, I mean, except for it worked for Mr. Beast, I think different strategies work for different people all the time, but the bigger problem is sustainability.
I was listening to a doctor the other day, and he was saying that when you do cardio, for the 1 hour, you burn a lot of calories, but your body adjusts the rest of the day and burns less calories than it normally would because you burn so many during the day. And your body is like the great regulator. But the best thing to lose weight is lifting weights.
Yeah.
Is lifting weights because you use your muscles and then your muscle burns calories the rest of the day.
Yes.
The whole
That's
day.
right.
And that shocked the hell out of me because it's always been cardio, cardio, cardio.
I know.
You know?
I know. And that's when I noticed the biggest transformation, when I stepped away from so much cardio, which is the only thing I was doing, to actually getting in the gym and being like, okay, everybody here is working on their muscles, getting over that part where like you go to the gym and you have to be, you know, a little bit afraid at first. Maybe not as much for men, but at least for women, you know, that can be a thing that they overcome. That's when I noticed the biggest change in my body.
Yeah, and you brought up confidence. Oh my God, I don't know. You know, when I'm fat and when I'm at my fattest, man, I have zero confidence. I don't want to go home. I don't want my family to see me because I've been fat. I don't want my friends to see me because I let myself go. You know, when you're in the bedroom, you know, I'm not confident in the bedroom. I got a big old gut. I don't never, you know, as far as sex goes, I don't want to get on top of my wife because I don't want to crush her, right? She's just a little 110-pound thing. You know, I want to kill her, you know, and like, so what I used to do is like get in the bed, put the covers over me, and then take my clothes off.
Man, yes, I know. That's a hard place to be in, because I feel like I was completely in the same boat as far as the lack of confidence goes, and not wanting to be seen. I mean, like, you have cameras and video, which you definitely don't want to be seen in, but even in front of like your own partner, that's a tricky place to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wanting to cover up until, well, I mean, not even until, like, wanting to cover up, period.
Yeah. I mean, sex only works from a couple angles when you're very overweight. I don't know how these really big people do it, but you know, I know whenever I was at my biggest, the easiest thing to do is just coming in from the back or the side, you know. That's about the only way that I can make it work, because I certainly wasn't about to pounce on top. You know, chafing is a huge problem. I don't know if you ever had chafing. Oh my God, chafing could be one of the, I mean, I don't know. I think you got to put it up there like a toothache, kidney stones, chafing, you know, top three, like things that are horrible, because you start chafing when you get fat everywhere and that shit starts chafing. I don't care where you're at. I mean, I would get chafing right here, like my boob would hang down onto my chest and I'd get chafing underneath that. It was so embarrassing.
It's uncomfortable and painful.
You know, my son one time, we were walking to a restaurant, he's like, "Dad, you're walking like you pooped your pants." And man, my shit was red in between my legs, man. It was just raw red from walking around all day and you know, on the beach. And oh man, chafing is horrible. And man, you lose some weight, that just goes away.
Yes.
That goes away. Like, it's non-existent. I don't know when the last time I chafed, you know, it's been a while. And then you see some of these, you know, morbidly big overbeat, man, and they just have chafing everywhere in their armpits, underneath the rolls. It's got to be one of the most uncomfortable. I can't imagine the pain that they go through, the discomfort that they go through.
It has to be really uncomfortable and painful. And I think that, you know, maybe it's those things that make people change. Maybe it's that type of, like, you have to hit rock bottom in order to want to change, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
my favorite YouTube shorts is like seeing somebody, like, you know, it starts off as, in 2022, I was 300 pounds, and I'm like, oh, I got to watch this one, right? And then you see him like this jacked out monster.
Yeah.
I love those transition stories, man. Those transition stories are fantastic.
I do too.
And so many people now are using semaglutide in order as a weight loss, you know, drug, as a way to lose weight.
Yeah.
And it's just, the world is, my nephew lost 100 pounds on it. The world is changing. Food sales are down 3%. How are food sales down 3% when we let in 3 million new immigrants last year? You know, there's a reason people are eating less. Millions and millions of people are using semaglutide right now and losing tons of weight and stopping eating and not eating.
Yeah, when I tried the semaglutide, which was brief, but I did, and it was interesting to experience the weight, or I mean the eating control that you have, because you're not really hungry. You're really, I mean, compared to normal, you're not always looking for food, which I always am, you know?
Oh, you definitely are.
I know.
I don't care where we go. She's like, hey, can we get a snack? I'm like, we just ate.
I feel like I'm always looking for food. But that was an interesting thing about the semaglutide. And I'm really interested to hear more research about it when it comes to addiction control. I mean, I think that could be a game changer. But even just the food, I mean, that was interesting to see because, like, I'm always looking for food. That's no joke. And I tried it for 2 weeks, and I wasn't always looking for food when I was on it for 2 weeks. I was not.
Yeah, and I think you lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks,
I
right?
lost like 10 pounds, maybe 12.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. And back to the addiction part, you know, when you're on semaglutide, you smoke 50% less, you drink 50% less, you eat 50% less.
Yeah.
It takes all your addictions out of your body. It makes you just not want to do any of those things.
I wasn't interested in alcohol at all whatsoever. I think that smoking was still like, it didn't make me necessarily not want to smoke so much, but it did certainly make it that I wasn't as interested in like alcohol or consumable things, like things that were going into my body as much was less. And I'm not like a cigarette smoker, so I don't know if that really, applies.
What do you smoke? That'll be another episode of The Middle-Aged Male. Anyways, I agree. You know, and then we can tie this into when you lose, we talk about depression all the time, and men getting their head right, getting their mind right? So, the two biggest things that I think a man needs to do is if he gets his body right, if he gets that confidence back in himself, in his body, that can straighten depression out. Two things. I think you need to get your mind right, and you need to set goals. Mm-hmm. And when I mean setting goals, it means like you need to be looking forward to something.
Yeah, I love this as a depression strategy. I love it.
Yeah, you have to have a goal in your future, and that can be anything. It can be buying a car, it can be buying a house, it can be changing your job, it can be starting a new business. Right. I don't care what it is, but there's so many people that just live this mundane lifestyle that I know that I got a friend of mine who's a painter, and he just paints all day long. He paints, and then goes home and plays video games, and then goes to sleep. He's a single man. Next day he wakes up and he paints. Goes home, plays video games, and goes to sleep. And the next day, he paints. And it reminds me of, I don't know if anybody from the Northeast saw the commercial, from Dunkin' Donuts. It's time to make the donuts. It's time to make the donuts. That whole commercial was it was just like, it's kind of weird to think that was their marketing strategy back then, but you can just tell this guy's life is all about making donuts for Dunkin' Donuts every morning, but you can just feel how bored he is with his life, and there's so many people out there bored with their life. So if you can gain confidence in your body and yourself and your mind, because everybody talks about, you can listen to all Tony Robbins, Earl Nightingale, all the famous, people that are people that are motivators and public speakers out there. They're all about getting your mind right, fixing your mind. Don't stop blaming other people. Stop blaming the weather, the politics, the country, your neighbor, your teacher, your boss, your coworker. Stop blaming everybody else. But the truth is, when you feel better about yourself, and you can do that through fitness, through weight loss, then everything changes in your life. And you couple that with goals. Mm-hmm. Man, you're like on a revolutionary pattern.
Right. I completely agree. I think that when I lost weight and when I was working out, it changed everything. I mean, it's like you have a strategy of putting control back into your life. Maybe there's so much that you feel depressed over because you've lost control over it, or you don't have control, or you think that you don't have control. But you can bring in one element. Just getting fit alone gives you all of that power back, because you're controlling everything that you're consuming and controlling everything about your output. And you're training willpower and self-discipline, and you're cultivating this type of confidence that can't be taken away from you, because the only place that you see it is in your own eyes, in the mirror, at the gym, or in any mirror really, once you've left the gym. And you have all of this confidence back into yourself, I think that looking forward to something else after that's essential. That's essential. I mean, like, you can't end with only working out. You have to then have something that you're going to go for next. And working out can be a part of this. You know, I mean, it doesn't really matter how big or small the goal that you choose after is, or if it's correlated or not. You know, it can still be something that's combined with it. But I mean, it's kind of like having a mission. You got to have a mission.
Right.
Or else you're destinationless.
I love how Earl Nightingale explains it, right? He says, if you're in a ship and you're leaving New York City heading to Tokyo, right? And you don't have GPS, he said a map, but now we have you don't have GPS or a map and you don't know where to go, you're going to wander around this world aimlessly.
Yeah.
Right? But when you have a path, when you know where you're headed, you know what the goal is, you can get there.
Yeah.
And that's what goals are. That's
Right.
where goals are.
It's just the roadmap.
The roadmap, setting the path,
Right.
and following that path, and getting to that level, to that separate level.
And there's always unexpected elements that come up. There's always unexpected elements that come up that you wouldn't have known that you were going in that direction, or, you know, you'll build the chains as you get there, but you just have to have the starting point where you know where you're going, and the elements still appear. You know, the roadmap will appear and the directions will be established, you know, by the universe. Like, these things will just kind of fall into your lap, but you have to have the destination. You have to have the vision about where you want to go. And that's
Right.
on you.
Right. There's that philosophy that they talked about, like, and I forget what they call it, but if you think about it, it will manifest itself. And you know, everybody wants to bash that, like, you know, if I just think I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich, I'm going to be rich. I don't think really that's what that means. I think what it means is, if you think about it, you'll act upon it. If you're always thinking about it, you'll act upon it, and eventually you'll reach your destination. You'll reach your goal. And I really like the thought of doing that. I really like the thought of setting your goals, thinking about it, act upon it. You know, there's a book called That One Thing, right? Which talks about setting your goals. And every day you do that one thing. It doesn't matter how small it is. How
Yeah.
small it is. But today, you're better than you were yesterday. Today, you're further ahead than you were yesterday. And if you do that every day, no matter how small it is, you know, that just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up, and that adds up to your dreams.
Yes.